So I'll wait for you, my strength, my portion, my delight is in you. God of mercy and God of light.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Live in the Studio. Today, we are here with Jesse and Niles, and they're from Eternal Worship. I don't know how to say your last name, so I'm not going to try it. But will you guys both introduce yourselves and tell us kind of about who you are?
Yeah, my name's Jesse Slisher.
Niles Ferguson.
All right. And I'm a worship pastor at Eternal Church in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Retired teacher. Taught in the Fort Mill school system for like 13 years, so kind of been in and out of ministry, or I've been in ministry, just in and out of full-time ministry at my church over the years. So
I've been doing leading with Jesse for years. So we grew up together. We're first cousins, and so we learned guitar together. We learned how to lead and lead worship together. So
yeah.
How far apart are you guys in age?
9 months.
9 months.
Wow.
Actually, that should have been one of the things we didn't want.
Yeah.
So were you guys more like were you guys that close growing up, like almost brothers kind of thing, or what was that like? Were you around each other a lot, or?
So I'm from Ohio originally. He's from this area.
Yeah.
And so we'd see each other Christmas and summers a lot of times. So we just kind of had a friendship.
But our parents made it a thing for us to get together a good bit growing up. So, yeah.
Cool. So what instrument was picked up first? We'll just go round robin. So what'd you start with?
I started with guitar after this guy did.
Okay.
Yeah. I did band in middle school.
Okay.
Trumpet, and then moved me to French horn. And then when I was 15, I started playing guitar. And so I was horrible at French horn, but I was getting better at guitar.
Okay. Nice. What was like first song you remember learning on guitar?
Hanukkah song. Adam Sandler.
Okay. Nice.
That's very niche.
Nice.
That's
probably a unique answer. I feel like that's not everyone's answer. What about you?
Mine's typically, it was Green Day, Time of Your Life, I'm pretty sure.
Mine was Seven Nation Army, White Stripes.
That's a good one, though.
That was my first one.
That's a good one.
I'm pretty sure my parents hate that bass line.
My 13-year-old kid who plays saxophone in middle school, 7th grade, Calvin, that's his favorite song to play when he's practicing.
Really?
I can tell he's getting frustrated with practicing because he'll just go right into Seven Nations Army, like super fast and then super. So it's his favorite.
Saxophone's making a comeback. I feel like in like pop music, especially like there's a band that Bill Murray, which is kind of a hilarious name for a band. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
They're pretty out there in terms of like the styles they try to blend, but they have live saxophone in their live set now, which is kind of crazy.
That's cool.
In 2023, it's like, I can't even believe it's 2023.
I know.
So when it comes to like Eternal, you said, I asked you this before we started, so you've been working there almost 16 years,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
And now, do you work there or you're just serving on the team, right?
No, I served on the team for 12-ish years before we were at Westminster Presbyterian now.
That's a long time to be plugged into a church. Like you guys have done, from looking on the website anyway, like a lot of albums too. How did you guys get into doing all that, and like what was that like as it formed? And I guess you've been there for all of that, yeah.
When we started writing is kind of when I came in around that time. We just had several songwriters at our church and musicians that like to be creative, so we just kind of one day we were like, let's just go to the studio, and I guess we got together with songs. You know, we got together in the same room and kind of shared songs, and then kind of thought through how to produce them together. And then first album was like an more acoustic thing. We didn't have a drummer in town, so we thought, let's just do something simple, and we loved it. Turned out good, and so next one a couple years later we did like a full band sort of thing, and then it's just kind of been off and on since then. We had a time when most of us were single except for him and one of the other guys, and so we just had a lot more time on our hands to do it. So
nice.
Yeah.
Do you have like has that process, you know, as it's evolved? Now you said go to the studio. Was the studio like a home studio? Was that like someone's, you know, basement, or has it gone to where you guys are like going somewhere to do that now, or what?
Yeah, it started off a studio in Charlotte called Sound Choice.
Okay.
It's I don't know if it's there anymore or not.
Sure.
Or actually, it was.
They moved to Fort Mill.
Yeah, it was Satellite Studios. It was part of or an offshoot of.
I definitely have
Sound
heard
Choice.
of Sound Choice Studios before. I think I took guitar lessons out of there from a guy named Jim Hickey.
Oh yeah.
Would that be the right place?
It's close to there.
Okay.
Unless Jim's been a few different places. I think,
For a few years, I think he might have either like rented or something
Yeah.
there, and so that was like where I started. I mean, I only took guitar lessons for. I don't know. I was done with it pretty quick. I took them for like 4 months. I was like, I think I'm good.
Right.
And then moved on. I was one of those where I just enjoyed looking up tabs and trying to learn songs more than I did anything else. But
that's kind of how we were too.
actually, there's you guys have a friend who, at least I believe, Chris Carroll.
Yeah.
Okay, so Inhale Exhale is a CD I bought as a kid
Oh, that's
growing up at a
crazy.
Christian bookstore, which was
nuts.
insane.
That's crazy.
And I followed him on Instagram for years just because he's a good drummer, you know,
Yeah.
like, and that is relatively local to us. And so I kind of like am somewhat, that's like one of those weird things where I found out, I'm like, it looks familiar. Where's he from? And I remember buying their CD and trying to learn one of their riffs like as a 14, 15-year-old.
That's
I was
Which
going to
is,
say, what's the first guitar solo that you learned?
I think it was an Amberlyn song. I think it might have been Feel Good Drag.
Oh yeah.
That
that's a
solo,
great
I got
song,
challenged with it in youth, I think, and they
Yeah.
actually let us play it. I don't think we kept all the words for the record, but but
best.
somebody let us play it instrumentally, and I had a lot of fun. What about you?
I learned a lot just off of Eric Clapton's Unplugged album. So
Okay.
it was released in 1994, I want to say.
Okay.
But anyway, I got the tab book. That's back like when you go to the store for a tab book, and pretty much learned all of his songs.
They still have them.
They still
just
do.
nobody
It's
buys
before
them.
This is before the internet, right?
This was not before the internet.
Pre-ultimate guitar.
Before pre-ultimate guitar, yeah, for sure. But the Layla solo off of that album. So
Okay.
the acoustic Layla solo.
I'm trying to think of, honestly, I never, so one of the things, like I never really got too into like playing a lot of solos. I think Feel Good Drag was like one of the only ones I actually tried to pick apart. I think maybe that just comes with the generation of church music I grew
Yeah.
up in, that like everything was delay, reverb, how do you know, it was all very, yeah, exactly. You know, every lead line could be like, oh, that's familiar. That's because it's the same as, and you know,
Right.
they're all related.
Just shifted down the neck.
Yeah.
I learned just like before I started playing worship stuff, I was huge Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix,
Okay.
Buddy Guy. Like those were my guys. And then I kind of got into worship music. So it's still in there, but there's a lot of delay and reverb as well.
I kind of got into two genres growing up. One was worship. Well, not really even like not musically. I was playing it all the time. And so it wasn't this like, I didn't really listen to it, but metal was the other genre I was really into. And so a lot of like drop tuning things. But the interesting thing about a lot of metal anyways is it's not overly technical. Like it's kind of interesting. It is, but it's not as hard to play as most
super
people
rhythmic, though.
would think. Yeah, rhythmic. So most of it's, but it's not, there's a lot of it that's not very shreddy at all now, you know? And so I was really into that kind of vein and was like able to kind of pick up on that, and had friends that were playing stuff that I could never hope to play, but I was able to like be a part of the group and play things, and at least like not totally have to sit there and just like, you know, chill with nothing to do. What about you? What was like some of the first stuff you learned
Yeah, I was
solo?
Yeah, I grew up playing church music, so
Yeah.
I didn't get into a whole lot of
Same.
Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton and all that. But although I learned a lot from him, like I think the first solo I learned was that Saigon Kick, "Love Is on the Way" solo.
Okay.
Like,
That's a deep cut.
yeah, that is.
Saigon Kick, Love Is on the Way. Look it up.
It's great. You check it out. But I was more into just rhythm acoustic at first, and then I started getting into leads and stuff like that. Just mostly from, it was like Passion stuff early on, like
Okay.
Charlie Hall and Tomlin and all that stuff.
Yeah, you guys are a few years older than us, so there's this element of like, we were probably like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. So if you're 40, I'm
Yeah.
27, which means at 13, at 13 years ago, how old would you have been? 27, 28, right? So I would have been like a youth in one of your youth group. It would have been about that disconnect, right? So you would have been telling me what songs to play. You guys don't know. You guys don't know. Do you know of like Life Point Church at all?
Yeah.
Anybody from there? So
Yeah.
do you know Blake out of them?
Yeah, I know Blake.
I played.
Yeah.
Blake was the first guy I played under.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
He was literally like, "Here's my whole pedal board. Here's my amp. Take it home. Learn all the parts. Come back on
that's
Sunday."
awesome.
That was
Cool.
when I was a kid. So that was a.
I probably met you over there at some point.
It's
way
very
back in the day.
I would have been. That would have been like 2008
back at the old
in the Bobcat Center.
Bobcat Center, yeah.
Yep,
Mhm.
way back when.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you would have met me, but you might have saw me not talking to anybody.
you-
That's kind of how I was.
Saw you being awkward somewhere.
Yeah.
Do you know Nate? That was
McConaughey?
Yeah, McConaughey.
Yeah, I did know Nate.
Okay.
Yeah, miss him. He
Yeah.
moved back like,
Cool. Up north somewhere.
yeah,
right?
that was, Yep, he moved back, but he was great. He had a
Yeah.
little, back when Blackheart was still making amps, I think. I
Yeah.
don't think they do anymore, but I remember like literally both those guys would give me their rig and say, take it home.
That's
or
awesome.
come play this or whatever.
pretty great.
How'd you know him?
Just through Life Point.
Yeah.
Just because we're down the street from each other, so we tried to catch up every once in a while. And
Okay.
I think we did like a night of worship between our churches one time, and
Oh gosh, what year would that have been?
man, I don't.
This has
Are
happened
you
to
trying
me.
to figure out if you played it?
Well, this has happened to me before where like so Shay and I met when we were kids. We met at like 12, 13 but it was very brief, and then we started dating like right after we graduated high school, got married at 18. Apparently I played, her dad is a worship pastor. Apparently I played with him and he remembers it and I don't remember
That's
it
hilarious.
at all. Like as a kid I started off like really I was just there to play music, and if you didn't, it's not good. I wouldn't subscribe to it, but I wouldn't go unless I got to play. Like, and that was just kind of like the thing that honestly I feel like God used to like grab me in.
That's awesome.
And that's how it started for me. And so literally there's like I would play like every week, every service, never stop kind of thing.
Wow.
Which is, and I don't, I mean I was there, but I wasn't really overly there for, I would say, all the right reasons as a kid, but
Yeah.
God is good. So here I am for the right reasons now.
Right,
You know what
that's
I mean?
awesome.
That kind of deal. So as far as like putting out stuff through Eternal, what's some of like the best experiences you guys have had through that process? What's some of the like standout moments? Because it's been,
Yeah.
what would you say? Was that like, it sounds like 8 to 10 years of putting out songs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we pushed through a lot in a few years, and then we wrote a lot and just kind of slowed down on recording after that. So, and now we're just shooting stuff over group text now all the time, just like giving feedback to each other on stuff. And but yeah, early on, I think one moment that stood out to me that we actually play. We don't get to play live together a whole lot anymore, but we played on the same team. Was it last weekend? 2 weekends ago?
Last weekend.
And we were talking about this time when we first got in the studio. He was recording a solo on one of the songs, and it's one of our favorite solos, like or instrumental sections of a song. And we were joking because we kept trying to push him, like, you need to go up higher. Till he got to the end of his fretboard, and we were like, "Well, what if you take the slide past the fretboard? Like,
Yeah,
The
it's a
little,
slide-
the
it's a
little
s-
pitch bender.
It's a slide
Keep
slip,
going.
solo on
Yeah,
All I
keep
Need
going.
on Wax Before You album.
Yeah.
All I Need. And yeah, I kept doing takes, and they were like, make it like dirtier, make it do more. So I just kept going up, and eventually past the frets
Nice.
a little bit. And it was cool. The engineer, he took like a couple of the passes that I had, and so the solo on the album was kind of both of them at the same time. So they were so similar, but they diverge
Yeah.
a little bit toward the end, and it's pretty
Nice.
cool.
Nice.
It was a really expensive guitar solo. So
Really?
So after that, we started tracking in house.
Okay.
I was like, I don't think we can finish this album in the studio. Like,
Yeah.
Essentially, I would play until they start laughing and
115 an hour,
smiling.
and then
Yeah.
every hour makes a difference at that point, right?
Right.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like some of the best. We have a song that we did together called "Glory of the Sun," and when I started writing like with Relevant at that time, Chelsea was our worship director, and she literally like just could sing anything vocally, just insane. It's one of those things where we were putting down these different vocals, and at this time I was the only guy singing on the team.
Yeah.
And so literally she shoots off this run and I'm co-leading this song with her and it's a back and forth. So like she would sing a line and then I would sing a line and I'm like, I can't do like nothing after that. Like, you know, I have to escalate. But I was like, I think I did like 100 some odd takes to try to get like another run to follow it up. I'll show it to you later. It's not that impressive. It pales in comparison, but it at least doesn't like sound like nothing where I'm like not even trying to like do something more. And so there's an element of that where those times in the studio for me are like some of the funnest.
It felt like way more than 100 takes though. When I was
I don't know how many it was, to be honest with you.
Touch me back
oh my
in.
God.
But it was quite the process, like, and that happened for every time they needed a guy like to sing. Like I was producing it, but pretty much if they were like male vocal would sound great here, everybody in the room is like right at me. And I got a lot better through that though. That was a big growth thing. Is there something you feel like you've gotten a lot better at, like through the process of working on albums?
Man, I don't know.
Like specific to
From a lead guitar perspective, is like crafting parts instead of just winging it. Just because you can wing it and play a lot of notes, like I call it the Santana syndrome, like where you just solo through the whole song, you know, like nobody really wants to, unless you're Santana, nobody wants to hear that. So
I have that with drums too. I call
Yes.
I call it sloppy toms. So
Yes.
toms
I'm
are
gonna
not
use
as forgiving on a recording as they are in the room, not even by a little bit. So it's like you'll have people, and if the toms are not like really thought out of like what's this fill going to sound like, or like we're just going to hang out forever on the floor tom, like sometimes in a mix that just doesn't work. And I've definitely been there.
yeah, pretty much that. But
Playing less, it's kind of something that
And
I'm still like, I'll still track something and be like, think I have it, and I listen back to it, I'm like, that's still too much. Like, playing a piano part the other day, it felt really good live in the room, just kind of playing it, recorded it, put it down. I was like, it's just too busy still. It just kind of gets in the way, and so you kind of learn some
I think
of that stuff.
record playing is definitely different than live playing. Like, especially when you bring in somebody who's never done one or the other to do the other, you know, and they're just like, we're like, okay, here's how this is gonna work. It's a little different. Like, you play your instrument the same, but the mode through which, like, not to say that you don't ever like slip into like feeling worshipful in the vocal booth or anything like that, but there are definitely moments where you're like, I need focus, I need to stay calm, I need to not cry or like get emotional,
Can't choke
like I
up
just
too
need
much.
to like, you know, chill. And then but when you're on the platform, like, you know, whatever you feel coming, just, you know.
Now, how many people are like a part of a, like
There's
when
a
you
lot
guys
when
are
I
doing
looked
a
on the
record?
website.
Like, I mean,
I was
it
like,
looks like a
whoa.
lot of people.
we've
I'm
got,
very curious about this.
I think our team right now is like between 20 and 25.
Now,
and
when you're making an album, like, unless I'm wrong, in my mind, there's no way 25 people,
No.
right? So how is that filtered down for you guys from like, okay, there's a group of 25 of you. We go through this too. Like, how are you narrowing it down in terms of role and like how many people are actually a part of that process?
It's more of like who's got the passion for it and the gifting, but the skills and all that. But we've got a lot of people that love to serve.
How many people would you say are a part of like an album process for you? Like,
oh gosh,
above 5, less than 7?
Yeah, we typically have like we've had the songwriters. We've got 3 or 4 songwriters, and then typically it's like we've got a lead guitar position, drum position, bass position, keys. So it's like I don't know, it's under 10. It's probably 7 or 8 people.
Yeah, that's more than than us. As far as people that are involved in the process right now, it's usually just like principal songwriter and like 1 to 2 other people at the tops, because it's I think it boils down to like the goal eventually being able to like bring everyone into that as far as in the church goes. Like, but there's also like you said, just like a learning curve with how to do it in the right way too. So we have a drummer that writes gosh, he's actually like your age. His name is Daniel Pogue. You wouldn't know him at all, would you? He's been playing literally like the very first week I started playing at Relevant, he was here. So I've been playing with him that whole time. So him and I are kind of like you two almost, in the sense of like just everything is just back and forth. This is what I think. That's what you think. Work really well together. Usually it's like whoever's co-writing the song, if that's a thing, or like we have depends on the instrument, like keyboard. I'll play a keyboard part. I'm probably not the guy to write every keyboard part, that kind of thing, but
that's what the intern's for. Hi, Becca.
No, she's really great though. She's an insane keyboard player. Her and her sister were both like very they've been playing since they were 4 kind of thing, and they're both ridiculous, which has been a really cool thing. So like we find the right people to bring into that process and keep doing it, you know.
Right.
So as far as like hurdles for you guys, what does that look like in Eternal, like getting that up and running and keeping going and doing more songs?
As far as like writing and recording, really it's just been life for us. Like I remember we started a project back 2012 I think, and I told like our recording team at the time, I was like, guys, I've got a baby coming in July, and then I was moving from full-time ministry back into teaching, and I was like, if we can't get in the studio or get together and finish these parts, I don't know what's gonna happen. Like I don't know
and
how
we never
finished it. I finished four of the songs in 2020.
Yeah,
but we had like 8, I think.
I think I finished one. Mine.
Yeah,
I had 2. I finished one unreleased.
Yeah,
Somewhat recently.
Yeah. We've had that, you know, like, so we have through the years, really we've written one record together as a church, and that one was pretty much co-written by Chelsea and I, and then Chelsea stepped down as worship director, so she's like still serving on the team and stuff, but there's like definitely like a little bit of like, okay, we're not exactly sure what's about to happen, but we're all writing still, so it's like, you know, it'll work out. But there's an element of like, in the meantime, like some of the people on the team, I've been producing their records that they're doing on their own, and so that some of that's happened. And I think one of the unique things, which we haven't really touched on, because a lot of the podcasts we're talking with like various people, but first time it's like we serve on a worship team, you guys are coming off a worship team, so there's I think this might be the first time we've had that, right? Where it's like a worship team from another church. And that's been one of the things that's been unique for me, because it's when you like have so many people, there's opportunity to do what feels like endlessly. It's always there. And so it's just about, I guess, like waiting for God's timing in that and when to do it, you know?
Yeah.
How many albums have you guys done? Do you know?
We've done 4. So we've done 2 full albums, and then like a Christmas EP, and then another EP after that. So
What's your guys' process usually when you're like writing a song? Like, do you guys co-write everything, or is it like one person usually like, I have this song, add your sparkle to it? Like, how does that work for you?
Usually the latter.
Yeah, usually the latter. Like we're in the process right now of figuring out how to co-write, because we're all like writers on our own, but nobody's written together yet.
I'm not a good co-writer either.
Yeah, it's hard because like it's like you got this baby you're bringing in.
I've co-written one song, and I'm telling you, Chelsea and I, it's "Glory of the Sun."
Yeah,
and I'll show it to you guys if you hadn't already heard it. But I have no idea how it happened. It feels like a very one-off thing. Yes, the Lord, absolutely. Like I'm like, how did that? We were both writing a different song, and I thought it was going my way, and she thought it was going her way. And then we play, and then one of us said, just try them back to back. And it literally like, it fit very well. And we were like, oh, that's totally it. And so it's literally like the most 50-50 I've ever written a song. And we haven't co-written the second one together. Like that was the only one. And I don't know how it happened. Yeah.
Well, one other historically the way that we've done it that I think we haven't highlighted is like we would, at least for Wax Before You and for other projects, we would have our individual songs and we bring them to the group, and we kind of had this. So we had this big list of songs, and we'd whittle it down to which songs we wanted to really focus on for the album. And then of that, like that core group of songwriters is like 5 people, and the recording process, it's like the songwriter was essentially the executive producer, and like everybody else were producers too, but the final word was a songwriter.
Yeah, like on a song by song basis kind of thing.
Yeah. Even that we might even argue vigorously.
Arguments never happen in the recording process.
We still do.
That's abnormal.
But that's kind of how it went. It went pretty well.
The writers are all pretty eclectic, like different styles. So I didn't know how I was gonna work at first, because I thought, man, like these are completely different style wise even, but you bring the band, like the band was the same for everything. It kind of just like ended up feeling cohesive at the end, even though the songs were.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we ask what we call a branded question, which is kind of we just ask everybody to it so we can use it in compilation later. That's really all it means. But so the question is, what does music mean to you? Why is it important?
Yeah, that's a good one. So for me, it's really hard to separate music from worship because, and I know they're different things, but I grew up playing music in a worship setting, so it's like even worship or music that's not worship feels like a beautiful song in itself can like cause me to worship just in its beauty. But you know, obviously they're different things, but for me, music is like so powerful because you take things about God, like truths about who God is, and when you can take those things and say them with lyric and melody and having music that builds and drops out, and like it's powerful because you're taking the thing that for us is like the most important thing, and you're able to express it in more than just words. So it's actually I came across this quote the other day. I think I have it here. This is Jonathan Edwards. It might be heavy for a podcast.
No, it's okay. Bring the wisdom.
Yeah. He says, the duty of singing praises to God seems to be appointed wholly to excite and express religious affections. No other reason can be assigned why we should express ourselves to God in verse rather than prose, like in song rather than just writing, and to do it with music, but only that such is our nature and frame that these things have a tendency to move our affections. So like for me, music is a way to express my love of God and move my affections towards him. So, and obviously, you know, like I listen to stuff that's not worship music too, and it you know, it moves you too, but for me, it's just more weighty when it's got the substance that I'm, you know, passionate about.
Yeah.
Thanks. Good luck.
Follow that.
I love the quote.
He brought the quote, man.
But I was thinking along similar lines. I think music it's a venue to express art and beauty and an idea in such a way that it finds the heart, I think, easier than perhaps reading or hearing something just spoken. You know, you think about David playing for Saul, that was how that had an impact on his spiritual state. And when he stopped playing, his spiritual state got worse. Like there's something about music that excites the affections or emotions. And then you start throwing in ideas at the same time in the music that are also beautiful in and of themselves. And so if it's a secular song, like that's why it touches you. Yeah. If somebody just said it, you'd be like, well, okay. Yeah. It might still touch you, but if you put music to it, it's like it's a whole other thing. And then worship music, like praising Jesus, is like the most meaningful thing that we can do with our lives, and I think that's where good times happen.
I kind of think about it too sometimes, like there's that saying where it's like you are who you hang out with. Like if you think about music as like kind of an entity that you're hanging out with when you're listening to it or whatever it is you're putting in is kind of like what you become a little bit. So,
yeah.
For me, like I have a interesting relationship with it because I started off and it was all music for me. I didn't care about other things, and I should have. But I look at it and I go, okay, like I said, like I really feel like God used that about me to rope me in. And so like when I got to the opera, and I would go like, so my grandfather was a Southern Baptist pastor. So like I grew up going to church, but it was in the hymnal, which I was not all about, you know? And, but then at the same time, like one of my first CDs was Linkin Park Hybrid Theory. I was like 5. And so I had this weird contrast of like, I mean, musically, like I would take that every day, and so I would listen to it, and then I like grew up and I never really like took it overly seriously. I would just play the songs that they asked me to play at church, and then I would listen to what I wanted to listen to, and I didn't really think much of it, which like wasn't the end of the world. But the older I got, and then I joined that band I told you guys about earlier, and they were all not just like older than me, but they were also like much more grounded in faith is what I would say. And like seriously, when I say like God used that, like I got the opportunity to join my first band, and there were like 5 people in it that were like just solid as all get out. Like, and I had no, like, I didn't even think about that. I just thought, honestly, I was being obedient to what I felt like God asked me to do, but I didn't even know it at that point. Like it was more like, I'm like, I don't know why I just asked them if I could join their band. That was weird. They probably going to tell, you know what I mean? Like it was sort of just like this, I guess I'm doing this kind of thing. And totally changed my life and changed my perspective. And like I got a lot of opportunities to like heal out of things that were happening in my youth through getting to like have a place to go. So like I would be out till 2 a.m. playing with my band, but they were like great people.
Yeah.
And my parents were never worried about it. It wasn't some kind of like, you know, it was a good place to be with good mentors.
Yeah.
And eventually I recognized like, okay, like I really love this, but this is not my priority above the Lord, right? You know, and so kind of recognizing that about myself, and then just still having a love for it. It's not like I don't love music as is, right? Like I love some great songs that are not worship songs, but I look at them and I go, okay, my songwriting specifically is where I kind of recognize like it's a kind of, you know, when you're talking about like it excites the emotions. For me, getting to a place where like my emotion is actually what's on the forefront of my heart and mind takes a lot, but in songwriting it happens like it's like a switch. Like I can't do that. I can't like get emotional for whatever reason in a conversation or an argument or whatever. Like I'll remain a little glossed over, but if I'm singing and my heart's in that posture, I can write, and it's like therapy. It just comes out. It's like prayer for me, literally. And so it encompasses, you know, I mean, what do you pray about? Everything. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality. So it's about good things, bad things, all that in my songwriting, but it definitely is a way that I feel like God's sort of gifted me with, like as in it's a gift to me, not some gift I have. It's like been a gift to me to be able to kind of process that way.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the Psalms, there are a lot of them prayers.
Yeah.
That are songs. Like it's
laments.
All across the board emotionally. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as like other artists or other like worship people, like what has been like influences for you guys in your sounds and stuff? Like, I mean, you were talking about Clapton, so obviously it's not just.
I mean, it took a while to get his Clapton bends out of his worship leads.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
It did.
It's up for debate.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Messing with you.
No.
I don't know. Like, it's I guess mostly the stuff that we'd play. Like, I'm from Passion stuff to Hillsong to Phil Wickham, and now like I feel like I'm getting into stuff like City of Light and who else? Austin Stone. I mean, it's all kind of the same.
John
vein.
Mark's stuff.
John Mark's stuff.
His
is
sound
great.
was Even Need to Breathe, like the. Like,
I don't think John Mark intended to be as influential as he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't think so either.
Well, you were talking about crying, like not being able to cry on an album. Do you remember how he cried at the end of his first or second album? He's singing the How He Loves song, and
so my introduction to John Mark was a live show. I had played How He Loves. This is what I mean. I was disconnected. I had been playing How He Loves for like a year and a half. And then somebody invited me to a show, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to go to a show.
Yeah.
It was John Mark show. I didn't know. And I put it together in the concert that like, oh, he wrote that. Like, I mean,
This is the guy.
you know, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So no, I wouldn't
crazy.
know. Yeah. I was very much like just there to be there because I was saying yes to being there more than anything else.
But I think at least for like our stuff for recording, like the Wax Before You stuff, I don't know. I feel like it was almost our secular influences, like influence
Totally
more
get that.
than like worship influences. Like growing up we grew up in the 90s and the 2000s doing music, and so it was like Matchbox 20 and Hootie and the Blowfish.
Purely on a musical level, I think that could be a little refreshing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just on a musical level, there's a time like when I'm mixing a worship tune, like I don't try to go listen to other worship songs because I don't want to channel whatever. Like you know what I mean, right? Like if you wrote rap, would you listen to every other rapper, or would you try to get some influences that are outside of your sphere and sort of just be eclectic and bring that in? And kind of felt the same way with worship through the years.
Yeah, we have a song. We're kind of working on a project right now and stuff, and one of the songs on there, it was all written by him, and it sounds like our more secular stuff does a little bit, and everyone we've showed it to, they're like, that sounds like an Alder Rose tune or whatever.
It's fun though. It is fun.
It kind of is, you know.
It's kind of our drummer was really excited about it.
Because we've got more of like a jazz alternative
Oh,
background
cool.
for
Her-
the secular stuff, and that's not in worship.
Her
too
dad
often,
was
I
a
don't
saxophone major in college.
wow.
So she grew up
That's
listening to
cool.
like nothing from the 90s, and I grew up listening to only 90s.
Yeah.
So our band and like our style when we started
like-
writing together is sort of like a trying to take
Coltrane meets Matchbox 20.
yeah, like trying to take some
Miles
jazz
Davis.
melody lines and
Yeah.
put them over
Nora
stuff that's a
Jones,
little
yeah.
more, you know,
That's
not
awesome.
not grungy, but
Yeah.
like has a little more bite to it.
Cool, though.
I also don't have a grunge or alternative voice, so I listen to some of those 90s bands. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you caught the Chili Peppers riff the other day though. You
I
went,
was so
you
happy.
went, is that
Chili
Chili
Peppers?
Peppers? And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that is. Great
You're
job.
learning. It only took 10 years.
That's awesome.
So for both of you, like just off the musical influences question, who's on your Spotify playlist that you're listening to right now? A bunch of.
I listen to a lot of lo-fi right now.
Okay.
That's, yeah, that's,
There you go.
I mean, lo-fi is like the only thing I can listen to and focus on other stuff. So
Well, I
it's-
was just going to say, I'll put that on YouTube
Yeah.
when I'm working.
Yeah.
Lo-fi stuff, yeah.
but yeah, I don't know.
I'm about to look at my phone.
Yeah, Citizens. I like their stuff. I like King's Kaleidoscope.
Ooh,
Who you got?
that's what I was listening to on the way over here.
Just
Meat
says,
World.
it says control the vocals.
Jimmy Eat World.
Okay,
there you
go. Yeah.
Dude, I love Jimmy Eat World. So
Yeah,
I
You
don't
guys
know.
ever-
I really go between genres.
I got
Yeah.
I got challenged to take a stab at that riff when I was a kid.
Did
That
you?
Futures riff. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that a good one?
Yeah, it is a good riff.
So many good riffs.
I've started lately
Turn
just
it down in
looking
case
up
it
random
plays here.
playlists and
Yeah.
trying to find
Yeah.
people I've never listened to.
Yeah.
Because I get I'm one of those gets in the rut of like, I love this album and I will repeat it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I should probably like.
The last two albums I've had playing are both Normandy albums. So they're literally both. They're from Sweden, but they're like they used to be like a metal band, but I think he actually shredded his voice screaming, so he only sings now, which is honestly a really cool thing because he's a great singer, like
Yeah.
so
For the
good,
best.
so good, yeah. And I've been listening to both their albums, and then one of our guests that was on the podcast, Scott Miller.
Alec Benjamin, I listened to his latest one. If you guys heard Alec Benjamin, it's almost like lo-fi pop, not as lo-fi, but it's like a kid that played acoustic solo, got a record deal, and made some pretty killer music.
Colony House. Have you guys listened
Oh,
to
yeah.
them at all?
Yeah.
They're really good. That's like one of our favorite bands to go watch.
Yeah.
The Chapman Kids.
Yeah.
Landlocked surf rock is what they
Yeah,
call
they're going in the surf rock direction hard
That's
right
hilarious.
Wow.
now. I don't
They're
know.
Tennessee, so there's no.
It's interesting. So like, have you ever seen them play?
No, I haven't.
If you ever get the opportunity,
should
like, it is. I don't think I've been to a live show that I've thought was like as fun, and I'm not like the guy who likes to go be in the crowd, like,
Yeah.
but they make it fun for every single person in the room. It's pretty cool.
One of our friends saw him recently, and I saw pictures afterwards, and I think he was like drenched in sweat. Like,
Yeah, I believe
just-
it.
I believe that.
I believe it. But they do a really great job, and obviously they're all great because I mean,
Yeah.
you know, they grew up playing with everybody.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Awesome. I will frequently, and don't kill me, John Mayer. I listen to John.
I love John Mayer.
dude. No,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, some folks are really not into it, but as a guitar player,
It's hard to not be.
he's like Stevie Ray Vaughan was, in that Stevie Ray Vaughan as a guitar player was a conglomerate of all the greats kind of plugged into one guy,
Yeah.
and like Hendrix to Howlin' Wolf to B.B. King, all those into Stevie Ray, and then Mayer was kind of the next iteration, I think, of that, the next generation of that, where like
Yeah.
he's taking like all of those things too, and then doing pop music with it, but can do these breaks, especially if you see him live, can do these breaks that are just completely
My
nasty.
dad had his 07 LA show when he was on tour on video, and we would just loop it in the house. So all three of my siblings, we have that album memorized because we've literally like it's been in the background for so
Yeah.
long that anytime he puts it on, we even do like his talking and stuff. And
My
it's-
kids
it's
could probably
hysterical.
hum to you the slow dancing in a burning room
Yeah.
melody.
Yeah.
Or anyone
Yeah.
that sound checks with you.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. I think I've heard him say it, but like in the 90s and 2000s, guitar players would almost gauge each other off of how well they can play Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam. And like these days, like the next generation of that is like, how well can you play slow dancing in a burning room?
Yeah. I had to learn. I took it upon myself to learn. Well, I've learned 2 mirror riffs that I tried really hard at. One was the live version of "Ain't No Sunshine."
Oh, that's a good one.
I learned that riff, and then "Neon."
Neon, right?
And I only got
drop C, man.
the roll that he doesn't even do live anymore. There's a roll in that riff that he cuts out. That on the way up.
Yeah.
I nailed it like 2
Once,
times.
and
My
then
father-in-law is a
played it
guitar
again.
player. I took video proof of me
Yeah,
nailing that
yeah.
thing and then sent it. And I was like, this is the best I'm ever
Did you
going
get
to
the
play
roll
this.
with like the 1 finger or with like the 3 finger roll?
I have kind of like I have a weird way of doing it. I literally will roll. Actually, I don't even remember, but it's like 3 or 4 of my fingers that I'll roll into it.
I saw him on TikTok explaining Neon.
I
and
don't play it how he plays it.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But I'm hitting the notes. But he does it with just 2 fingers. I'm like, no.
Yeah, the roll to get the roll. I feel like there has to be more than just the 2.
I don't know which one's harder, the right hand or the left hand on that song, because his hand is so giant
Yeah,
that I can't fret it.
getting the thumb over the top
I
to
don't
get
even
those
do it.
bass notes. Yeah, it's
He's
interesting.
about to go on a solo tour right now. It's just
I
him
looked
and his
up
acoustic guitar. And
Tickets
I'm
on sale today.
we should
Can't
message
afford 'em.
him.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do the actual roll?
We were in the queue.
tour?
We were in the queue. Yeah, we were in the queue, but we bailed out. Yeah. What are you guys hoping happens like next for Eternal in the next well, you can give me whatever time frame you want, but tentatively like next year to 5 years, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to get into writing and recording. I mean, we're doing it, just into a better rhythm.
Yeah.
We've been building our church building over the last year or so, and we should be moving in a few months. So just having like a pretty good permanent setup for recording and getting ideas down, and I just trying to figure out how to get into a rhythm, but also like not burden people with trying to do too much with all of our families and everything. So yeah, just getting more expression out through songwriting and recording, I guess.
Yeah, just start getting the kids involved, man. Just bring them in. Be like,
Working on it.
need a kids choir.
My 15-year-old, I have 15, 13, and 9. My 15-year-old plays drums. Super proud of him. 13-year-old's doing saxophone.
Nice.
Doing a lot of white stripes, black keys, white stripes.
There you
It's
go.
hard to get those straight, right?
Got you.
Also, another great band.
Yeah, great.
9th grader, 9-year-old, she's vocalist. So
Okay. Awesome.
They'll
Getting
get there
there.
eventually.
We have her little brother is actually coming to play with us for the first time
This
for a
weekend.
set this weekend. He's 21, and they moved away when we got married at 18, and so they moved away like within a year or 2, and literally just moved back like 6-7 months ago. He's a great drummer. So
Nice.
excited
Sweet.
for that one. So we're playing. You guys heard Firm Foundation yet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're playing that one, which will be a fun one to do together. So
Sweet.
okay, so last question. We'll close it here. What song are you guys playing today? And will you tell us about it?
Yeah, we're gonna do an oldie but a goodie.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite song I've written. It's called My Portion Forever. It's from a couple different Psalms. I don't know. It just sometimes when I'm writing, it's like, what's the Lord been showing me or putting on my heart. Other times it's like, one of the more recent songs I've written is like came from something our pastor kept saying over and over in his sermons. I was like, man, we got to sing that together. But this one was just something personal, I guess, that I was reading through the Psalms and just kind of, my flesh and my heart may fail me, but you're the strength of my soul and my portion forever. And so that was kind of just the idea, just trying to take that scripture and put it to song. And I feel like it's one that's just I haven't gotten tired of playing. Just enjoy it. And so we were kind of talking about which song to do, and he and my wife both kind of kept pointing me back to that one. I was like, fine, we'll do it. It's like from 2009, so it's pretty old, but
Nice.
but it's timeless because it's scripture. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
that's all you got.
Just agreement.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, Jesse and Niles.
Thanks for having us.
What can we point people to as far as social media goes, like for Eternal or whatever you guys want to plug? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they can go to Eternal Worship on any social media,
Spotify.
all that stuff.
Nice.
He's Kidron Psalmist. Is that your stuff?
Yeah, Kidron Psalmist, but it's not worship stuff, but it's in that vein.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, and thank you guys for listening along. Without any further ado, here is My Portion by Eternal Worship. Bye.
1, 2, 3, 4. My flesh and my heart may fail me, but you're the strength of my soul. You are my portion forever. My flesh and my heart may fail me, but you're the strength of my soul. You're my portion forever. Though my spirit is faint, I know you know my way. So I'll wait for you, my strength, my portion, my delight is in you. God of mercy, God of light. My flesh and my heart may fail me, but you're the strength of my soul. You're my portion forever. Though my spirit is faint, I know you know my way. So I'll wait for you, my strength, my portion, my delight is in you. God of mercy, God of light. So I'll wait for you, my strength, my portion, my delight is in you. God of mercy, God of life. God of mercy,